Thank you.
So, Ms. Wells, I'm gonna start out by asking you some questions. Then I'm gonna let you tell me something you think I might need to know to make a determination. Then I'm gonna do the same thing with Mr. Williams. And then I'm gonna give you my decision. Can you both raise your right hands, please? You do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
So, Ms. Wells, can you state your name, please?
Loretha Wells.
And Ms. Wells, you purchased a used hot water tank, is that correct?
That is correct.
And when did you purchase it?
I purchased the hot water tank on the receipt dated January 10th, 2020.
And you purchased that from whom?
I purchased it according to the receipt from Carl Fred and Son Recycle, but the business that I Googled was a different business name, but they're the ones who answered the phone.
So when you went to purchase it, did you purchase it at this place in Highland Park?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
May I explain? So what happened, factual, is that I Googled this business. I reviewed their Google reviews, just to make sure because of my unique circumstance with this purchase. I called Fred at the numbers 313-744-7333.
Hey man, we're live on YouTube, hold on.
That's his public number on the receipt. Okay. That's advertised. Right. I'm not giving any information, anything personal. This is all public. This is on the receipt.
Hold on. Ma'am, hold on. Let me ask. So how much did you pay for the
The receipt says.
No, ma'am, don't you know how much you paid for it?
Well, I'm using fact, and what was written on the receipt would be fact.
No, just tell me.
$273.
$273.
$273.
Okay. And did you go to their store?
No, ma'am. I was leading up to that. I did not go to the store. I called, and because of my unique situation, we had a conversation. I'm not trying to amuse you, ma'am. I'm just trying to tell the truth. I feel like.
No, I'm just trying to understand.
I'm not.
Okay.
I feel like this court has just trying to make me embarrassed, and I'm just trying to tell the truth. And if you're laughing at me.
Ma'am, no, understood. But let me understand, because I'm the one who's going to make the decision. Let me understand. Did you physically?
No, I did not physically go to that location.
Ma'am, wasn't my question. Slow down. Did you physically examine the hot water tank before you purchased it?
No.
Okay. So was it then delivered to your home?
Yes.
And so what day was it delivered to your home?
January 10th, 2020.
Okay. And that was the first time you had an opportunity to examine the hot water tank?
Yes.
So you purchased it to replace a broken hot water tank?
Correct.
Okay. And had you made arrangements with someone to install it?
Yes.
And who did you make arrangements with to install it?
His name was Derek. He was a plumber that I called in 2014, but after all of this, he is no longer in business. COVID, he said, put him out of business.
So you had a plumber who was gonna install it?
Yes, and the plumber and I had conversation about the new system that I purchased from Fred and Son Recycle, or Fred and Son Appliances.
Was it installed in your property?
No,
And the reason it was not installed?
it was not installed because it was not operable, according to a few people. Derek being one, and when I spoke with others who did a COVID inspection, meaning it was not physical, they just recommended a new hot water tank. They thought actually that one was the old one.
Hold on, ma'am. Hold on. So Derek was the plumber. Did he come and physically see the hot water tank?
Yes,
Okay. And he told you it couldn't be installed and wasn't operable because?
may I speak, ma'am? Because it's going to take a little bit longer than a yes and no.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so to answer your question, they came out and they looked at the hot water tank to install it. There were several things that they found that they could not work with, and because Fred and Son gave me a warranty, they did not want to breach that because the warranty says under defect and labor for delivery appliances. So if you look at a hot water tank, it has a 3/4 inch, all standard to pass inspection for the city, have a 3/4 inch, like a screw-on, male to female connection. The hot water tank I have in the basement is half that thread. They weren't willing on that. They weren't willing to risk their license to install it that way. And they recommended that it should not have been sold that way. They looked at my documentation and asked if, because he said that he would replace, to just ask to him to bring me another hot water tank that meets the recommendations for inspection. The second thing was the other person had me on video pour cold water down. I'm sorry, am I just?
Let me stop. So that's Derek the plumber.
Right.
So who's the other person that you're referencing?
The other guy was another plumber that I called from Ypsilanti, where I am from. And we did like a videos, pictures and things like that. And he said he would not risk his license to install it because it doesn't look, just from, I'm only stating the facts, just from looking at it, without even touching it.
Let me ask you this, where is the hot water tank now?
It's in the basement where Fred left it.
And did you, after Derek couldn't install it, did you contact the seller to tell them?
Yes, on January 11th.
Okay. Yeah, let me just ask some questions. January 11th, you called them to tell them that the hot water tank wasn't operable, is that right?
No, part true. January 11th, I called as instructed by Derek to see if he would swap it out for one that would pass inspection and not put Derek's license in jeopardy. And Mr. Williams answered the phone on a recorded call. I have it. I sent evidence twice and it was lost. And I couldn't send the recorded call. But on the recorded call, Mr. Williams said that, I quote, "It needs a filler tube. And I install these all the time." and he said he will not give me a refund or replace. But he said verbally, and on his receipt, it says defective material. He said, I stand by my product. And that's why I called. That's why I bought it from him, because he stood by his product. I wasn't at that time asking for the money back. I was just asking for one that met the inspection recommendations of the 3/4.
Let me ask you this, ma'am. Did you buy another water heater?
Yes, I did.
And where did you buy that from?
From Home Depot.
And you're asking for $300 and some dollars, is that correct?
Yes, I had to pay the person to come out for their initial, so that would have made up the from the 273 to the 300. And he did not include his $25 on the receipt. He charged me $25 for delivery, and he asked me on the recorded call, is that fair? And because I was under duress at the time of sorts. I needed hot water. I have been without hot water for 1 full year. According to my my water bill, I was struggling. Okay, and in between jobs, and Detroit has not been very kind to me. So I was making decisions based on a great need for comfort that everyone else has, hot water. So maybe I wasn't thinking so clearly at the time of purchase. Yes, there are a lot of things I would have done differently, but I had a need. I just needed a hot bath.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask Mr. Williams some questions. So, Mr. Williams, you sold Ms. Wells a used hot water tank, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it would have been in January of last year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you dealt with her over the phone because of the pandemic?
Yes, Your Honor. She called my store. She said she Googled my business and she needed a water heater. And I said, well, I have them. I sell used water heaters and they come with a 90-day warranty. And, you know, most of my customers come in and physically look at what they're buying. And, you know, I had told her, I said, I normally don't bring items out without being paid for up front. But, you know, it sounded so urgent that I took a chance, you know, and there's a lot of background noise.
Okay, so she asks you for a used water heater, and does she give you any specifics about like how large it is or anything like that?
Could you repeat that?
Does she tell you exactly what it is she needs? In other words, does she tell you what she has at that point and ask you if you have something that matches what's already in her property?
No, she just asked for a standard water heater, which is basically 40 gallons for most homes. And so I told her the price up front, what it would cost for me to bring it out and you know, put it in her house. We do offer installation, but she refused our installation. I said, well, as long as you have a qualified plumber to install it, we can warranty it. You know, I sell these tanks by the hundreds, Your Honor, and I do good business.
Okay, let me ask you this, because she's saying that the tank couldn't be installed because of the coupling. Is that what you call it, where you would normally hook something up?
Your Honor, these are used tanks and some of them come with fittings that are still on there, and your screen blacked out. You can take the fittings off, because I install them all the time. You take the fitting off. If there's a fitting that's still left on there, You take that fitting off and then you put your new fittings on there and they work just fine, Your Honor.
So let me ask you this. She calls you back after the tank is delivered and tells you that her plumber can't install it. Is that what happened?
That's what she said, Your Honor. And I was saying, well, let me speak with the plumber. And they never let me talk with the plumber because, as I was saying, Your Honor, I install these tanks myself as well. And I don't have problems with them. If they have an old fitting on them, we unscrew the old fitting and put our new fittings and connect it and have no problems.
So she asks you for another tank?
She asked for a fitting for the tank. I said, well, the fittings are on there, ma'am. You just have to screw the old one off and put whatever adapters that you need for your installation, because every installation is different, Your Honor. So, you know, if she had copper pipe or galvanized, every situation is different to connect it to the hot water tank. So the plumber would be responsible for the connections of, you know, making it work. I mean, they all work when they leave my store, you know. I stand behind what I sell, but we can't place every tank that someone doesn't know how to connect, because we would be swapping out tanks all day for people that don't know how to install them properly.
So do you have a plumber who would come and install it?
Me, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know plumbers. Yes, I do. I know plumbers that install tanks because they come and purchase them from my store all the time.
Okay, so she's asking me to award her $300 and some. And she still has the water tank. Do you want the hot water tank back?
No, I don't, Your Honor, because I don't know what they've done to it at this point. You know, when I first spoke with her, I said, well, let me talk with the plumber. And I was willing to come out and do whatever. But then when I started reading the other paperwork that she wrote on me, it sounded like it was like a threatening situation. So I didn't want to even put myself in the situation at that point. You know,
I'm
it was a
from
lot of things
Ypsilanti.
that
I
were
wouldn't know
said.
how to do that.
Ma'am.
That's against my character.
No, he listened to you.
I never public. That's against my character.
Okay, I can't listen to two people at the same time. He sat there and listened to you.
I never attacked him.
Ma'am, I'll give you another opportunity, but I can't listen to two people who are talking at the same time.
This is already biased against me. I understand.
I'm not biased against you, ma'am. I just can't listen to two people at the same time. All right, sir. So you took her statement to be, listen, I'm not.
This is bias. It's all about Detroit. Detroit against
I'm not
everybody.
understanding why you didn't just go back and get the tank.
Your Honor, there was a lot of statements said in this. She went to she took it to the next level with the Attorney General. She wrote some things to the Attorney General saying that she felt like I was a threat to her. And so at that point, we didn't want to even go back to her house and deal with her because we didn't know where this thing was going. You know, like I was saying, Your Honor, we do good business. And if a customer has a problem, we try to address it. But when people start making allegations that they feel threatened and, you know, it gets kind of gray at that point, and you really don't know what to do. Now, if she would have brought the tank back to me, maybe I would have dealt with it, but I didn't want to go back to her home because I didn't know where this was going, Your Honor. I really didn't, you know, and we do good business. We do good business in Highland Park.
He didn't get a chance to speak. She's giving him all this opportunity to put me under the bus. And I have to sit there and take it.
So when was, okay, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I was talking to someone else.
No, you can't do that in the virtual courtroom, okay? So when did she filed a complaint with the Attorney General?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, she did.
When did she file the complaint? When did she file the complaint with the Attorney General?
I assume it was shortly after that. I don't have it in front of me, but she filed it, and it was a lot of bad things in there, and I just couldn't believe it. I said, "Wow!" So it was like she was threatened by me. I'm like, "How could you even be threatened by me? All we did was bring a hot water tank, delivered it to your house, and put it in your basement like you asked. We offered installation. She didn't want us to install it. So, I mean, what else are we to do when a person starts making accusations like they're threatened by us? And all we did was do a service that I normally don't even bring items out unless they're paid for up front in my store.
So did she pay you for this?
Yes, when I got there, me and my helper, when we pulled up, she paid me before I brought it in the house, which was the agreement. I said, you have to pay me before we bring it in. Once we took it off the truck, she examined it and she signed the receipt. She paid me, and then we delivered it in her basement. And then we left, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you want me to know, Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor. That's how it went. That's how it went.
So, Ms. Wells, do you have something from this plumber, a statement or something about this whole, he couldn't install it?
No, as I stated, Derek went out of business. Again, we're looking at the timeline, which I do believe Mr. Williams has incorrect. To begin, the recorded conversation is not what Mr. Williams swore under oath to testify. Number one, I asked Mr. Williams if he would install, and he said, my installs start at $200 an hour. Well, I already came to him because I was financially crippled, and I would have bought a new hot water tank, but I couldn't afford it at the time. I just wanted comfort. So I used a Black-owned business in Detroit that had good Google reviews. I trusted them, but you have to scroll down to the bottom because Google doesn't put all the negative reviews at the top, is what I learned. Secondly, when Mr. Williams delivered the tank, he did not leave immediately. He and a woman named Carla in a hood. I felt threatened, and we stood outside according to my security cameras because I wasn't sure. Listen to me. A woman, they drove up in a white pickup truck, okay? And a woman, I didn't know if it was a man or woman in the S, came out with hood on. You couldn't see her face. And then he said, take the hoodie off. So she took the hoodie off, and I'm like, oh, okay, I felt more comfortable before I even made the cash transaction. I'm from Ypsilanti. I wouldn't even know how, Mr. Williams, to hurt anybody. I've never been in a physical altercation in my entire life. Okay, so the second thing is when I called the Highland Park Police, it's because at that point he and I have been going back and forth, and I have became a pest to him because I thought by calling his business, look at records, because it looks like he hasn't changed the number. I was calling him a lot. I called him a lot, and he lied because I sent him a text message of my current hot water tank, and I told him I need one just like this. He has the phone number. Pull his phone records. You will see MMS. Even if he deleted it, the phone company time, date, stamps, everything that was sent out. I haven't since changed my number, but I can go and pull up that record. So I am very detail oriented, and as evident of you trying to cut me off in my long speech, I would never set myself up to fail, especially with this type of transaction. I did not have any ill will toward Mr. Williams. I'm not violent. I was just upset because I trusted this man. I trusted this Black-owned business. And I thought I was comfortable enough to call him back and say, let's swap it out. I wasn't prepared for if you heard the recorded conversation, that's none of the stuff that he said is what he's testified is what he said on a recorded call. And I have it here. I just wanted to swap it out. It was no big deal for me because he did not present as a threat. All of that stuff, piled up as we were going back and forth. And then his true colors came out. The Mr. Williams that you are seeing now was the Mr. Williams I initially met, but there's another side of him if you keep calling and texting and emailing a business. So okay. I was not, I'm just, this is on live YouTube. I don't want people, he's got a good business. I don't. I have 3 strikes against me. I'm not a native of Detroit. I'm a Black woman and I'm poor. I don't need this on YouTube where he's further damaging my character. I have to get a job after this. So I did not attack his character. I did not bring that up because this is live on YouTube. All I'm saying is I went to the Attorney General's office almost a month later.
Would you listen to me for a moment? I'm going to delete this. This is only to satisfy the public aspect of the courtroom. So this is going to be deleted.
Thank you.
Okay, let me ask you this, ma'am. The bidding on you kind of tried to explain to me though that the bidding wouldn't connect to your system. Is that right?
Yes.
So
every hot water tank standard US have a 3/4 inch fitting. There's no magic. No, you can call Home Depot. They will tell you that. Then you have to start customizing hot water tanks for what Mr. Williams. So the plumber Derek wouldn't do anything because at that time we had a warranty. He had a warranty and I didn't want him to touch it if it didn't just connect as advertised. I didn't want him to do anything special because of what he's accusing me of now, doing something. I assure you, ma'am, I am not an aggressive person. I did not do anything to his hot water tank and I will sell it on eBay. If he asserts, but it doesn't work. And all I'm asking Mr. Williams is that, how do you know the hot water tank works? Because we can't get water in it. So how did you get water in it to assure me before selling it to me that it works? That's all I want to know. That's what the plumber wanted to know, because we can't connect it to any water outlet. We can't connect that at all. So we're just trying to figure out, how does he know that it worked before he sold it?
Okay, ma'am, can the fittings be changed to connect?
The problem is the tank is so old that if you try to manipulate anything, you might further damage the tank. It's very old and it's rusted. So they showed me a test to do, because he said that used hot water tanks I'm sorry, I just got upset because my reputation is on the line too. I'm not doing anything to hurt him. I just wanted a fair transaction. And the way he's accusing me sounds like the same Mr. Williams that was lashing out at me when I called him so much. And I'm just a little shaken from that because he started out nice. It's the abuser.
So,
he's an abuser.
You have a way to deliver the water tank back to him?
Yeah. I offered. The only reason I needed Mr. Williams to deliver it because I did not have auto insurance and I didn't want to be on the road breaking a law. I'm sorry. I'm from Ypsilanti. The police will pull us over and take our cars for something like that. We don't just drive all willy-nilly without auto insurance and on suspended license. I did not have insurance. I just got back into town and I just needed hot water.
Ma'am, sir, you said you don't want the hot water tank back.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, Your Honor, we don't take them back after being this long. We don't know what has been done in a year.
Nothing.
But
nothing.
We tried at that time to address it because I don't sell stuff that doesn't work, Your Honor. I do good business in Highland Park. I sell these tanks. I get them from housing or authorities. They change them out they're working. I sell them by the hundreds.
So did you test this particular one before you sold it to her?
I always ignite them, but the fittings, some of them have fittings and some of them don't at the top, but they're working, Your Honor. Trust me, they're all working. I sell them by the hundreds.
I trusted you, Mr. Williams, and it doesn't work, sir. I trusted you.
Well, ma'am, wait a minute. You never got it connected, so how do you know it doesn't work?
I'm glad you asked, because as I stated previously, if I'm allowed, I'm not trying to be funny or anything like that. As I stated, I contacted several plumbers. So there is a neat little trick that the plumbers in their trade showed me when they don't want to connect the hot water tank, but want to make sure that it can hold the pressure. And we went out to the car. We got one of those car inflated kits, and he sealed the top of one end. Okay.
Who is it that did this?
It was just a friend. It doesn't damage the tank. We just wanted to test the PSI. So I called another plumber, and under his direction, this is what we did. We sealed the top of one, and then we pumped put air in the tank, because if the tank is not faulty, and you can do it to any tank, it doesn't damage the tank at all. Because the Detroit water has water pressure of 140 PSI that comes in. So Carl, I'm not saying anything bad about Carl. Ma'am, I am not attacking his character. I am just addressing the transaction is all I'm addressing. I'm not saying, I didn't bring up anything, but so when you put the air in and you pump it up, water tanks generally hold from 40 to 60 PSI. And so because of the water boiling, that's like if you put a lid on the stove with your water boiling. So it didn't pass that test. And I didn't want to do anything else to it because I wasn't sure of the outcome. But Carl, if all you had to do is just swap it out, sir. I didn't do anything to the tank. And the second thing is, when we poured water into the cold inlet, it leaked at the bottom. I was just explaining. I'm a little long-winded. I apologize, but I'm a detail-oriented. I apologize.
When did you do these tests?
We did the second test after the magistrate tore me a new one, and just made me, I was crying after that, because I felt like the magistrate was his defense lawyer and not the person to logically and legally listen to both of our complaints. So we did all this testing because I said, we gotta have this work. We gotta make this work. I'm poor, Carl. We gotta make this work. So so it didn't work. And they're like, man, you need a new tank. They just told me you just need a new tank. Yeah, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. The vinegar in the hot water tank will clear the sediment out. I mean, I did everything scientifically available to this hot water tank to make it work for me, but I did not damage it. And then New Year's Eve, my daughter just bought me another one. I just got the hot water tank for New Year's Day. And if, Carl, at that time, sir, if the hot water tank was okay, then why don't you just take it back and just, all this customization that's not what you sell people. If you sell it to another plumber, fine. If you're selling it just to a regular person, why wouldn't you make sure that it can be hooked up just like a one out of the box? Why would I need to call a plumber and all this other customization? And no plumber wants to risk their license. Not the plumbers I know, the ones that are licensed and bonded.
So, ma'am, I'm not understanding this risk your license. I'm not understanding that.
May I clarify without it being a joke to the court?
No. You're trying to tell me that if they had installed this tank, somehow their license would have been revoked? Is that what you're trying to say? I didn't say,
no, that's incorrect. I did not say revoked. I'm surprised, Your Honor. The last person who touches a hot water tank, installers, there are a lot of court cases about this. People who install the hot water tanks, it is their responsibility, duty of care. It is their responsibility to make sure that the hot water tank is installable and that it won't kill the person, like carbon monoxide leaking. There is a lot of risk when you buy a used hot water tank, is what I've learned through this transaction. Okay, that's all. And so if I was to get hurt, if the hot water tank was to malfunction, Mr. Williams did some extra fixings on the tank. Those are not the original parts from the Lockmar. So he did something extra, some extra wiring. So Lockmar says that he tampered with their product. It's not their product, you know, it's not his product. He doesn't manufacture. They educated me on that. So they're saying that if we install it, you are now my responsibility, not the person who sold it to you, and it under the pretense that it works. And that there are a lot of legal cases out there where the installer was sued because it was his responsibility to make sure that it was inspected and operable. And we did the same type of measures that an installer would do just to make sure that it works. There are a lot of court cases, ma'am, out there like that. A lot. There are a lot of rulings out there that the installer would be responsible for if there was something, if it blew up anything.
Who installed the tank from Home Depot?
I did. For the purpose of this, I installed it. Because you cannot, I installed it, a friend and I. It is that easy. Would you like to see a picture? I will walk you to my basement.
No, I just wanted to know. So you did not have a plumber installed?
Not the new one. No, not the new one. I've been so educated from this transaction. I installed it and we're waiting for the city to come inspect it. That's how it works. And I have emails to prove that we were trying to get them out for COVID to inspect it. Hot water tanks, ma'am, are very simple to install when they're not defective. You connect the cold and hot outlet. They have a standard 3/4 inch. According to, I spoke with Jim at the Home Depot in Canton, Michigan. Okay, you make sure the gas is connected like you would a dryer. Okay, because you don't need a technician to do that. The only thing is a dryer won't explode if it's a bad one. So this was a brand new out of the box tank that I put in. A friend helped me, but I put in. Okay, but I have to say me. So, and I'm not dead. I didn't do it correctly, and the inspector will prove it when they get out here. It's brand new out of the box, and here's the paperwork for my new tank. And Mr. Williams' tank is just sitting next to it. It was just cheaper for me to get a new one than to go through all of this.
So, Mr. Williams, is there anything else you want me to know?
No, Your Honor. As I said, we offered to install it. She didn't allow us to install it. And like I said, we always recommend that our customers get a licensed plumber to install the tank. Someone that really knows what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? That way we feel covered and what our product is being installed properly. That's all I have to say, Your Honor.
So, ma'am, what are you going to do with the tank?
He can have it back. I swear on my own life, I didn't damage it. Okay. That tank is in the same condition in which he delivered it. I am not that type of person. Although, I feel a little pressured here, and I may come off because you guys are laughing at me, and this is serious, but I did Mr. Williams no harm. I called him a lot. And because of me calling him a lot, he got aggressive toward me. I asked the Highland Park Police Department to meet me at his establishment to return the tank. He declined that. Mr. Williams told me his installation fees start at $2,200 an hour. That's on a recorded line. Mr. Williams, I can let you listen to your own self talk to me. I did not do anything wrong. I was a customer, and I I relied on your expertise in this situation. And every tank, you cannot say every tank is operable because I'm looking at the negative Google reviews, sir. I'm not here to damage your reputation. I just want a fair transaction. And I called you within the 30-day on your receipt. I did nothing wrong. I did everything a perfect and prudent customer would do. That's all. I called, so I had no choice but to contact the Attorney General. That's just the bottom line.
So, ma'am,
He can have the tank back. But I want my money back.
you know what? Let me just say this. From the tenor of the discussion during this case, I don't think that's advisable for you. Because normally
The Highland
Ma'am.
Park Police.
ma'am, I don't order the Highland Park Police or any police agency. to do
No,
this.
they agreed to assist me to return it when it was escalating back in February and March of 2020.
So why didn't you return it then?
Because he told me on a recorded call that he does not accept returns. And he made that very clear and very firm. So I had no choice but to reach out to the Attorney General's office.
All right, so I listened to the testimony in this case. And this is a really unfortunate circumstance
Fine.
because I'm not sure that there was anything wrong with the tank that would be under warranty that he would have had to take it back. But at least if you had made that effort and he wouldn't accept it, then I might be able to do something different. But I'm finding no cause of action because I don't find that he violated the warranty. And this whole idea that the plumber, that you installed your own water tank, but the plumber couldn't do anything.
I installed a brand new one. We could not, cross tank is not installable.
All right. I wish you both the best of luck.